Bring your whole self to work. It is the most dangerous, destructive, and manipulative lie ever sold to the modern employee. They print it on posters in the break room. They preach it in corporate retreats. They tell you that vulnerability is a superpower. They tell you that your colleagues are your family. They want you to let your guard down. They want you to open up. They want you to bleed your personal truths all over the boardroom table. Stop falling for the trap. Your workplace is not your family. Your manager is not your therapist. Human resources does not exist to protect your feelings. Human resources exists to protect the company from liability. And the moment you forget that, you become prey. You have probably already felt the sting of this betrayal. You thought you were building a connection. You shared a personal struggle with a coworker over coffee. You admitted a moment of weakness to your boss during a candid one-on-one. You thought you were being authentic. And then, weeks or months later, you felt the subtle shift. You were quietly passed over for that promotion. You were suddenly left off the critical email chains. Your manager started micromanaging your projects, treating you like a fragile piece of glass, or worse, a liability. You sit there wondering what went wrong. You feel a sickening mix of anger and humiliation. You played by their rules. You were honest. You were transparent. And you were punished for it. The modern corporate world is not a safe space. It is a battlefield of egos, insecurities, and ruthless resource management. When you expose your soft underbelly in a room full of people competing for the same paycheck, you aren't being brave. You are being reckless. The modern self-help gurus tell you to live your truth out loud, no matter the environment. They tell you that hiding parts of yourself is toxic. It's garbage advice that will leave you unemployed and completely powerless. What you actually need is not more vulnerability. What you need is a fortress. If you are tired of being manipulated by corporate buzzwords, and if you are finally ready to learn the actual rules of power and self-mastery, hit subscribe. We don't do corporate fairy tales here. We do reality. Now, let us look to the men who actually understood how to survive in treacherous environments. Let's talk about the Stoics. You think your office politics are bad? Seneca was a philosopher, but he was also the primary advisor to Nero, one of the most unpredictable, psychopathic emperors in the history of Rome. One wrong word, one misplaced emotion, one momentary lapse in judgment didn't mean a bad performance review for Seneca. It meant execution. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome by crying on the shoulders of his generals. He ruled an empire surrounded by usurpers, plagues, and constant betrayal. The Stoics survived and thrived in the most lethal environments on earth because they understood a fundamental law of human nature. They understood the absolute necessity of the mask. The Stoics did not believe in broadcasting their internal state to the world. They believed in cultivating an inner citadel, an impenetrable fortress of the mind where their true thoughts, fears, and ambitions resided safely. They interacted with the world. They were kind. They were just. They were highly effective. But they never handed the keys to their inner citadel to anyone who hadn't earned them through years of tested loyalty. And they certainly didn't hand them to their political rivals. Becoming invincible at work requires a massive shift in your identity. You must stop seeing yourself as a fragile individual seeking validation from your employer. You must become a strategist. A tactician. A professional who views the workplace as a chessboard, not a confessional booth. To build this Stoic armor, there are 5 absolute truths you must completely conceal from the people you work with. The first thing you must never, ever admit at work is your exact financial situation. The average person loves to complain about money. They complain about their mortgage. They complain about credit card debt. They joke about living paycheck to paycheck. Or, on the flip side, they brag. They brag about their crypto investments. They brag about their lucrative side hustle. They flash the new watch or the expensive vacation. Both extremes are a catastrophic tactical error. When you tell your boss or your colleagues that you are struggling financially, you are handing them the ultimate leverage. You are telling them that you are desperate. And the corporate machine feeds on desperation. If they know you absolutely cannot afford to lose this job, they know you will swallow any indignity. They know you will work the unpaid overtime. They know you will accept the toxic behavior. They know they can delay your raise indefinitely, because you have nowhere else to go. You have painted a target on your back that says, easily exploitable. Conversely, if you reveal that you don't actually need the money, if you talk about your successful side business or your vast savings, you trigger something even worse. You trigger their envy. And you trigger the assumption that you are not fully committed. When the next round of promotions or bonuses comes up, they will justify skipping you. He doesn't really need it, they will say. She's doing fine on her own. Let's give it to the person who really needs this. The Stoic concept of self-sufficiency autarkia teaches us to find security within. But outwardly, in the marketplace, you must project a very specific illusion. You must project the image of someone who is comfortably dependent. You are satisfied with your compensation, but hungry for more responsibility. You are not desperate, but you are not completely independent either. Keep your bank accounts, your debts, and your side incomes completely shrouded in mystery. Let them judge you solely by the quality of your work, not the balance of your ledger. The second thing you must never admit is your ultimate career ambition, especially if it threatens the ego of those above you. The classic interview question is designed to trap you: where do you see yourself in 5 years? The naive employee answers honestly. They say, I want to be the director of this department. Or, I want to start my own agency in a few years. Or, I want your job. They think they are projecting confidence and drive. In reality, they have just activated the defense mechanisms of everyone in the room. If you tell a mediocre manager that you plan to outgrow them, you are no longer an asset. You are a threat. You are a ticking clock on their own relevance. Human beings are deeply insecure creatures. Your boss wants to feel like the mentor, the leader, the indispensable king of their little fiefdom. When you broadcast your massive ambitions, you make them feel small. And small people in positions of power are the most dangerous enemies you can make. They will subconsciously, or consciously, begin to sabotage your growth to protect their own position. They will assign you menial tasks. They will leave you out of high-level meetings. They will ensure you never get the visibility required to eclipse them. And if you tell them you plan to leave the company to start your own business eventually, you have just told them you are a mercenary. They will immediately stop investing in your training. They will stop giving you the best clients. Why would they water a plant that is going to be moved to a different garden? The Stoic knows how to conceal their intentions. Seneca didn't walk into Nero's court and announce his plan to intellectually dominate the empire. He played the role of the humble tutor. You must play the role of the loyal soldier. Your public ambition must always align perfectly with the immediate goals of your team and your boss. Make them look brilliant. Make their lives easier. Let them take the credit. Build your skills, gather your network, and construct your empire in complete silence. When it is finally time for you to make your move, it should look like a natural evolution, not a hostile takeover. Move in the shadows until you are ready to strike. The third thing you must never admit at work is your deep, personal emotional struggles and family drama. This is the hardest rule to follow, because it goes against our very nature as social animals. When we are hurting, we want to be seen. We want to be comforted. When your marriage is falling apart, when you are battling profound anxiety, when your family is embroiled in chaos, the urge to vent to the person sitting in the desk next to you is overwhelming. Do not do it. The corporate environment is a place of utility, not a place of healing. When you bring your chaotic personal trauma into the office, you force your colleagues and your manager to play a role they are entirely unequipped to play. More importantly, you permanently alter the lens through which they view you. They may smile. They may offer a sympathetic ear. They may even tell you to take some time off. But a silent calculation is happening in the back of their minds. They are suddenly viewing you as unstable, unpredictable, a risk. When a high-stakes, high-pressure project comes down the pipeline, they will not give it to you. They will rationalize it by saying, "He has too much on his plate right now. Let's not overwhelm him." In their attempt to be compassionate, they will sideline your career. And once you are labeled as the fragile employee, it takes years to wash that stain away. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned his students extensively about this. He taught that we must draw a strict boundary between what is inside our control and what is outside our control. Your personal trauma is yours to carry. It is your internal battle. Dumping it on your colleagues does not solve the problem, it merely creates a new problem in your professional life. This does not mean you suffer in silence. It means you seek support in the right places. Talk to a therapist. Talk to your actual friends. Talk to your spouse. But when you walk through the doors of your workplace, the armor goes on. You are a professional. You are reliable. You are steady. No matter what hell you are walking through at home, at work, you are the calmest person in the room. Protect your reputation for stability with your life. The fourth thing you must never admit is your true opinion of your incompetent colleagues or managers. The office is a breeding ground for gossip. It is the cheapest, lowest form of human bonding. Two employees sit in the break room and tear apart the new hire. They mock the manager's terrible presentation. They roll their eyes at the CEO's new policy. It feels good in the moment. It feels like solidarity. It is a trap. The person you are gossiping with today will use your words against you tomorrow. In the corporate world, allegiances shift like the wind. The colleague who is nodding along with your complaints today might be gunning for the same promotion as you next month. And when they need an edge, they will gladly casually mention to the boss that you have been highly critical of the leadership team. Even if you are completely right. Even if the colleague you are criticizing is genuinely useless. You gain absolutely nothing by voicing it. When you complain about others, you do not look like a visionary. You look bitter. You look difficult to work with. You look like a negative force in the culture. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoic does not waste breath complaining about the incompetence of others. The Stoic expects incompetence. The Stoic anticipates stupidity. When you encounter a foolish colleague, you should view them exactly the way you view a sudden rainstorm. You don't yell at the rain for being wet. You open an umbrella and keep walking. Instead of vocalizing your frustration, use their incompetence to your advantage. Let their chaos highlight your order. Let their missed deadlines highlight your punctuality. Silence is the ultimate weapon of the strategist. When others are running their mouths, destroying their own credibility, you remain perfectly composed. Never put anything in an email, a Slack message, or a casual conversation that you would not want read aloud in a deposition. Be unfailingly polite. Be professionally distant. Let the fools expose themselves. You do not need to help them. The fifth and final thing you must never admit at work is that you have nothing to do, or that you completed a task much faster than expected. This is the ultimate paradox of the corporate system. In a rational world, if you are highly skilled and you finish an 8-hour project in 2 hours, you should be rewarded with 6 hours of rest. But the corporate world is not rational. It is a machine that runs on the appearance of perpetual motion. The reward for doing good work quickly is not freedom. The reward for doing good work quickly is simply more work. If you enthusiastically go to your boss at 11 a.m. and announce that you have finished everything for the week, you are making a massive tactical error. First, you devalue your own labor. If it was that easy, they will assume the task wasn't that important, or that anyone could do it. Second, you invite them to load your plate with the agonizing, menial busywork that no one else wants to do. They will not pay you more. They will simply extract more from you. The Stoics held a sacred reverence for time. Seneca wrote entire treatises on the brevity of life and the tragedy of wasting our limited hours on meaningless trivialities. Your time is the only asset you possess that you can never earn back. You must guard it with a terrifying ferocity. If you have mastered your role to the point where you can execute your duties with ruthless efficiency, that extra time belongs to you. It does not belong to the company. You must learn the art of strategic delay. If a project takes you 2 hours, but the deadline is Friday, you deliver it on Thursday afternoon. You use that massive gap of free time to invest in yourself. You read. You study. You strategize your next career move. You build a side income. You rest your mind. But outwardly, you maintain the illusion of steady, diligent effort. You never complain about being overwhelmed, but you never broadcast that you are bored. You become the reliable, consistent engine that always delivers on time, without ever revealing the true horsepower under the hood. Do not become a martyr for a company that would replace you before your obituary is published. Protect your time. Protect your energy. Let them see exactly what they need to see to write your paycheck, and not an ounce more. These 5 rules are not about being deceitful. They are about boundaries. They are about self-preservation. The corporate world wants to consume you entirely. It wants your mind, your emotions, your identity, and your time. You must say no. You must construct the inner citadel. You must become a master of the mask. Operate with absolute excellence. Be undeniable in your competence. Be a force of nature in your execution. But keep your soul securely locked away. They do not own your truth. They do not own your vulnerabilities. They do not own your future. Stop playing their game by their rules. Master your silence. Master your emotions. Conquer the board.